Good morning. So, um, this was the Ethereum trade I entered on Saturday. I entered Saturday morning. It's Sunday morning, and the trade is still on. You can see entered the trade in the 4 hours time frame. There was I drew trend lines following rising wage trend line, and then there's a support line. Then I drew a counter trend line and it broke the counter trend line, and there was an engulfing candle. I showed the pattern, the confirmation, and then I entered in the third candle, and that was what I did. And afterwards I had done I put in some other entries that has not been triggered. And this entry were as a result of the 15 minutes time frame, where I'm hoping that the trade will come and will sweep liquidity on the 15 minutes time frame. So this is a liquidity point. This is a liquidity point for me, and this is a liquidity point. I need to change that to red. Okay, so it doesn't seem to want to work. Maybe I'll delete it and use it. Okay, so this is a liquidity point. It's supposed to be a liquidity point, but you can see there is a very long handle and they are inside bars, so it's not valid as a liquidity point. That was the initial thing I thought was a liquidity point, but it's not valid as a liquidity point. So therefore, I picked this other line as a liquidity point, and I set limit buy order at this level, not at the other block, at this level. This as an other block is just for as a not the other block, sorry. If I remember the name, I'll tell you. So, and I expect it to peak at this point, but most importantly, this is a liquidity point. I set it just on the liquidity point, just in case it's going to sweep and go up. Then this is the other block, yes, and I'm expecting it to get to my stop losses are under the other block. That's where the swing under the other block, and that was the first setup was on the order flow. So the first setup was on the order flow, not the other block. That's what I was trying to remember. Don't know what's wrong with this. So the first setup was on the order flow. not on the other block. That's what I was trying to remember. But I haven't woken up this morning expecting that this retest would get to this point, but didn't. It went and it swept this high on the 15 minutes time frame. And you know that for a sweep, we have an entry for a sweep. So think in watching to see if I'm watching to see if it's a legit sweep, but meanwhile the trade is still on. And with this development, though it's a sweep, I'm supposed to start thinking of how to enter for a sell trade, in which case I'm supposed to go to the 1 minute time frame to check for the setup. And it's still holding on, but because my setup was from the 4-hour time frame, it means the 4-hour time frame might still be valid compared to the 15 minutes time frame. So I'll still be watching out for it. And the best thing I would have done if I hadn't was to go down to the 1 minute time frame or the 5 minutes time frame and watch out the development of the price action in this time frame before knowing what to do. But this is the extent of what is going on right now, and for this reason, this singular reason, I would pick this and put here, since the liquidity level has changed as a result of that. And we'll be watching this as a liquidity and trade is running at 14 cents. So let's say I go to the 1 minute time frame. Okay, this is the candle that brought about the sweep. 1 minute time frame shows like a strong bullish candle, but we all know that it's on the 15 minute time candle is a sweep of a high. And so let's watch and see what will happen in the 1 minute time frame. If it comes and then it sweeps, it forms something, a good pattern for us, we would enter for a sell. That's the extent of my analysis.